Hey everybody, my name is Simply Roy, and welcome to a workflow video, or you can call it a devlog, whatever um, a normal person would consider one of these videos to be. I'm just going to be going over some of the progress or some of the work process that I had during this announcement. This video actually took a couple weeks, actually. Just wanted to get an idea of how to use After Effects and incorporate. That's going to be my primary goal going into season 2, using After Effects in my workflow, just to give certain scenes some more dynamic visuals. Maybe incorporate this for me animating fights as well. Something I can think on moving forward, but this is going to be me showing how some of these things were done or how these were accomplished, just to give maybe people an idea of how to approach their project. So I thank you guys for watching the video, of course. If you guys have any questions about this, leave a comment. If you like these videos, you can like it. If anyone who's watching wants to go above and beyond, hey, consider being a channel member. Got a couple of unique roles, unique for sure. These things taking a considerable amount of time to work on, and a little support here and there, just with that goes a long way. So if anyone considers doing that, I greatly appreciate it in advance. But for now, hey, let's get into enough plugging. Let's get into some of these effects. So at the beginning of the video, I really wanted to, my idea was to have Vice and Roy talking a little longer than what the time I was given. I thought the sound from the la 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 in the background went really good with what I was approaching with the pod making the sound effect. So I like the sound that I was going with. The countdown itself. Now I don't know if the countdown itself can be done in Premiere Pro. And again, this tutorial is more or less for people who are familiar with Adobe products. I used to use Sony Vegas for episodes 1 through 4. I think maybe Battle of Gods, but I don't really remember. It's been such a long time. But ever since that little Battle of Gods, I've not used Sony Vegas to make anything Dragon Ball Ultimate related. So a lot of these ideas and effects probably more adjusted to Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects. And I've seen DaVinci have some utilization along the same line. For anything that you guys want to go more into depth, this is not this video. I would probably see if you guys can find a tutorial, which I had to do. I had to commit to finding a tutorial to better explain these things, and even those are kind of hit and miss. So with this effect, this doesn't seem to be a Premiere Pro effect. So I'm gonna slide on over to After Effects. So the set thing that I had for this was called slider control. Slider control made me set a keyframe for the number here, and basically give me an idea of setting that keyframe to changing and adjusting this number over time. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do this in Premiere Pro, but doing it in After Effects is a little more convenient, I felt. And especially when I'm able to adjust the wavelength of that to make it ease in however I want. So at the beginning of this timeline, I was able to make these numbers count down really fast. At the middle, kind of slow down. And then at the end, kind of go hella fast. And then actually have the ability to make it even hold at that 736, which is a very important number in the series. So wanting that to hold was a big deal to me, but I didn't get an opportunity to really hold that as long as I would like, so it kind of fell flat. But hey, it is what it is. To set the background to an actual image, I just took a collage. Now this is kind of annoying, but I had to made my own little whatever you want to call collage or whatever, and within that I had just said, hey, F it, I'm just going to go ahead and because at first I had these individually separated in After Effects, but After Effects, here's the thing: if you guys try to redo this logo, whatever the case may be, learn from my mistakes. If you take a video dimension, if it's because some of these are old videos, like this is like a a 1080p render, and this is like a, I don't know how big this is. Apparently these two things don't match, but whenever the scenes transitions from one larger video dimension to another, the map itself wouldn't be consistent. So what I had to do to ensure that this would be consistent no matter what, because sometimes the overlay would show in the actual map. I wish I had a way to show this to you guys, but I don't. I had to render this in Premiere Pro, so all the videos were at the same resolution and same dimensions, and then put it in here to then have it stay consistent. And that was sort of the problem I went with that, and that's sort of my back and forth. You're gonna notice a lot of going from Premiere to going to After Effects, or going from After Effects into Premiere. That was the main like gimmick to achieving these effects and results. So after this, had a black background that I set with a wave motion that had the little purple things animate from the back that I initially just had like a lifespan effect for those to kind of die off really early. Nothing too adept with that. That was just for me to just test that out and see how I liked it. And I simply just added a glow effect to this that was also animated, that increased, I think, in brightness or threshold over time. And that's how I accomplished the effect in Premiere Pro. And so that's initially how we got to that. Moving on to the elephant in the room here, as far as when we transition to the very first visual scene, this looks different to me in my monitor. You may have noticed that this video itself looks a little different. So to me, this looks really cool. The colors are extremely bright. It falls flat on my second monitor, and since my second monitor is the one I'm recording on, there's a huge difference in my HDR from both of these monitors. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not gonna sit here and complain about it. But this was all done in Photoshop. So yes, I had to use Photoshop, After Effects, and Premiere Pro all at the same time, running at the same time, going from one tab to the other tab, and that was primarily how I achieved these particular shots. So we all know what this map is. This is the pod landing map, and essentially all that was really done is that I used the Generative Expand on Photoshop to really set to expand the already screenshot that I had of this, or at least the screenshot that I had made in Adobe, to then take over to Photoshop and start adding some of the surrounding effects. So just to kind of give you guys an example, this is this shot, this is the actual screenshot that I had, and this is what I got after that. So yes, this is actually the same exact image, just used for Photoshop, but I think I reversed the crater, and I think that's all. I think that those are the only two differences that I made. So initially, I find it a lot more easier to screenshot here using this button to export this particular frame. Going into my fucking, what is this shit? Fucking my bins or my whatever. I find it easier to go here, then go to edit in Photoshop, and then it opens up Photoshop, and then I could go and do whatever the fuck I want in Photoshop, right? So I'm going to show you how this works, because sometimes it's a little finicky at best. And so the only reason I went about doing it like this is because I've noticed, I don't want this. Why is this here? It's like, hey, you remember working on this? So the main reason why I decided, and I'm just going to show you guys what the Generative Expand does. It's very self-explanatory. If I go out this far, I hit just generate. It's going to just sit there and think about everything in the scene, and it's just going to expand it, which is really cool. And you can get these really cool, unique sort of backgrounds or BGs, and kind of incorporate them in your project, like in the trailer I did. And it, not the best thing in the world. It just really kind of depends on what you're aiming to do for real. And I think as far as making it stand out, these are some, actually, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I'm not too crazy about AI, but this is a definitely big win for me, especially when in the landscape of everything, it seems like it's becoming harder and harder to obtain certain mods that I would look for or see used in the community. Some of them are private, or some of them don't exist no more. Some of them are lost in space, and it's just becoming difficult to reach out to get these mods. And I don't know. I find it weird that this is the only community that I've seen gatekeep mods. I just don't get it. So I just said, fuck all that. I'm not gonna sit here and worry about me not having a mod when I can just make my own backgrounds. But at the time, I was thinking like, damn, my backgrounds are gonna look ass because I'm not a background artist. But then I thought, hey, why don't I try to use AI, just how I did with the AI voices, and this became a thing. So typically, for anyone who wants to do this, one thing I must just throw out there, you must have a reference. It has to reference something on the screen to use for context. Sometimes it understands that this right here is a fucking tree, and then if I just type, like, if I'm just gonna type in trees, and it's gonna be like, oh, this is a tree, let me just put a bunch of trees. It will sometimes take this as a reference for a tree and give you a bunch of trees. And then sometimes it will just say, I don't know what a fucking tree is, and absolutely destroy whatever idea you had approaching for it. But the thing is, you can continue to generate, and it may not get this, like, what the fuck is this right here? Did I say house? No, I just said simply trees, plural. And I don't know. It is a true test and go kind of thing. Again, if you are adamant for trying your best to make your scenes be different, I would say go for it. Maybe not the best if you just want to do some random shit, but give it a little time. If you know what you're doing, then you'll definitely be able to reciprocate the results that I got. Very just random as far as those goes with the generative fill. But that was really mainly how I did that. With the burn particles here, this was just a fucking brush stroke from my tablet that I drew over the canyon with a glow. I turned the glow width down to give it that more ember effect that we usually see with, like, you know, fire and shit. So that was pretty much the idea there. So here's one of the things that my main ordeal with After Effects, the tracking. I did not animate this, didn't keyframe this at all. Usually I do, and I manually just adjust this however where the fuck it goes, right? But no, that's not what I did this time around. I actually tracked I actually had After Effects track the very center portion of this, and it's not the best, but it actually works. Like, it works really good. Typically, in After Effects, you have to find a really high... Let me show you guys. Is this it? Oh, okay. So this is it. This is the... So sometimes, with scene building, I've realized this is way better to do in After Effects than it is in Premiere Pro. And so when it came to tracking the headlights to... the tail lights in this case, for this truck here, I had to take a high contrast area to have Adobe After Effects know what I wanted tracked, and then have it analyze that particular image after this truck was rendered. I think the truck itself is an actual, if I'm not mistaken, is an actual video. Yes, so I had to render out, this was just a simple shake animation that I made vertical, but I had to render it out in Premiere Pro because I can't have an image tracked in After Effects and then have that analyzed. It doesn't get that. So I had to create this, render it out in Premiere Pro, put it in After Effects, track like the brightest portion of the headlights, and with the headlights, I actually I don't know if it's gonna show this. Hold on. Just to show people. Yeah. So I drew this and added a glow, but I expanded the glow width this time to make it seem like the tail lights are on. But when, you know, I add the truck, you really don't see that. I actually just used the same color, so you don't really see that, but it's there. It's actually really there. I use spotlight to darken the truck, but also add surrounding light to it. That's why it's kind of like this pinkish white light in the backdrop of this. Going over to this piece of grass and the fire. Here's a new thing that I also wanted to commit to was the rotoscoping tool in After Effects, which is really beneficial depending on what you want to try to do. With the rotoscoping, it's sort of cutting out the image itself or a part of the layer, and it's like it's an easier version of cutting an image out, I guess. Like I've noticed people done that before when it comes to adding things in people's hands or putting someone touching someone else. So I've noticed that we usually either use the green screen to do that, or maybe, hey, we just take the pen tool, we cut it out, and we do it that way, right? With this, I had to take the fire, rotoscope it, and then redefine edge to the grass. Now, this was a duplicate layer because that's usually how we have to give off the something is in the backdrop. That's usually how that approach goes, is that we have to duplicate some things sometimes. And then I just took this portion of the grass and animated it only. I'm trying to find that grass, but I don't know if I'm going to find that grass. Is this the grass? It's really hard to tell. I should name my layers, huh? You guys can see that I do not name shit, bro. So yeah, this is the grass. This is it. This is it right here. So in After Effects, you can double click on your layers and it'll take you to this layer screen, which is good because you can usually see the composite, see exactly what you've changed, and then go to the layer itself to adjust the layer specifically. So this is the rotoscope that took place. It's currently frozen, but I'm going to unfreeze it because, hey, I'm not gonna be rotoscoping anything today. So typically what you would do when you rotoscope, you would just take a certain area. Typically you would just paint over it to say, hey, I want this cut out. And that's how that is done. I don't know if it's gonna show me an example now because this has already been kind of cut out. But really edgy points like this grass, you would take the brush itself, go to redefine edge, and then you would try, hold on, this is like really small. You would try your best to edge these portions out, so the rotoscope can understand that these really sharp edges with different contrasts to the grass, because we can see that this tip right here is a different green than the backdrop of the grass actually on the ground. So it actually recognizes that, and it's like, oh, you want the foregrass? Okay, I got you. And it starts making this outline to the grass. Matter of fact, I think what I'll do to show a better example of this is to we can get rid of this fire. Okay, where is the fire? Oh, on top of everything? Where's this fire? What the fuck? Okay. So, is this an image? Okay, I was about to say, don't say that, that's an image. So I'll do it on this layer. I'll duplicate this and I'll show you guys what I mean. So if I double click on this and I go to the roto brush and I start trying to just like pick out this grass again, and I do it like that, it's gonna start trying to eliminate, hey, this is what I got so far. So let's lower the brush real quick, and then to like remove stuff, you have to hold Alt. And again, like I said, this isn't really like a tutorial. This is just like the workflow of what I had to do to accomplish this. I think what I did for the grass, I was trying my best to make sure I got the grass tips that I wanted. So I would just follow along them like this, and it's like trying its best to like, oh yeah, okay, bet. So then it's like trying to like compensate for, oh, you want all this, and I'm like, no, I don't want all that. So I'm just gonna give you guys a quick rundown. It's kind of eliminating that. So let's say like this is what I want. Like let's say like that's what I want from this, right? We go to redefine edge, go here. No, actually, go back. I want to increase this. So, okay. So I go to redefine edge, and then like I start kind of like edging up these, and then it's going to actually understand that the white portions are higher contrast than the black portions, clearly. And it's going to start realizing that you want the white portions versus the blacks. I'm just calling it how it is, dog. I'm just calling it how it is, dog. Don't look at me, man. Okay, so you can change this in the redefine mat to make it sharper or make it, you know, a little smoother, whatever the case you may want to do to make this a little more finer. But in the grand scheme of things, this is just how this goes with certain. I'm going to show you a different example with mom and dad. Those actors that I have, we're just going to refer to them as mom and dad. But for this particular example, with like hair and really sharp edges that are animated, yes, I would use the redefine edge brush to do this. And then as it animates, it starts to understand that it's going to start tracking this, and then you can see this adjusted as the timeline goes on. I don't have the world's strongest computer, so this takes a little bit, and plus, since I haven't analyzed it, it is trying to do this on the fly, but you get the gist. It is something that, again, it's a little time consuming, but hey, I mean, how far do you want to kind of go with this, right? So that's that. Let's bounce out of After Effects before it crashes. Okay, so, like I said, I'm going to refer to these characters as mom and dad. Hopefully I don't have a spoiler or I cover it up, but we're going to call these two actors mom and dad. So, mom clearly blinks in this particular segment, and this was animated in After Effects. I feel like this is easier to accomplish in After Effects, and it doesn't look too bad. It actually looks pretty good, looks pretty convincing. Just to give you guys a gist before I show you this in After Effects, all this really is just I painted over. So with like making like actual animation, typically you'd have a blank face and then you draw over that face with the animation for like the eyes blinking or any facial expressions that you're aiming to do. And the same gist is here. The only thing I really did was have a layer painted over it to match the shading of the eyes underneath. And then take the eyebrow, make it its own independent thing, and make make this eyebrow right here its own not the eyebrow, the eyelash, its own independent layer. Make the eye itself its own independent layer, and just animate the eyelash coming down on top of the other layer. And that's really just it. I mean, yeah, this took like 15 minutes of work to get 4 seconds of footage, but I think, again, these are one of these things that add more depth into the projects that you guys are trying to do. And hey, I got the experience, and that's a big thing for me. Getting the experience goes a long way. So another tool that I wanted to commit to using was the puppet tool. And again, hopefully I don't have a lot of spoilers in my timeline, so I have to remind myself not to have certain information displayed on the screen. So the puppet tool, more or less, again, this is all 5 layers of the same thing, but I didn't use all 5. I think I just used 4. I used 4 layers to animate this. I think you may need 5 or 6 to do 2 eyes instead of 1. But for the sake of testing, I only used 1 eye. Just to show you guys the puppet tool, I think, is it this one? No. Which one? So like all of these are their own independent layers. This is the eye itself. This eye is actually being animated on the same keyframes as the eyelash, so it disappears as the eyes go down. So that's how this effect is kind of accomplished. If I turn this off, you'll see it. So yeah, there's nothing there. It's just gone. So that's how that effect is accomplished. I'm trying to find the eyelash so you can get an idea of where that is. I think this is my outer glow to give off the fact that the characters are pretty close to the fire. Where the hell is this eye? Maybe it's this one that's locked. It has to be the one that's locked. Is it? Yeah. So here's the eyelash. Here's the actual like puppet tool animation. So with the puppet tool, you can actually use. Now this is again one of those things I really wanted to use. So with the puppet tool, you can actually adjust things or pieces of an image. I don't know if this goes for videos as well, but in images this seems to work the best. for animating certain body parts or things. Typically with the puppet tool, you can make things or keyframe certain things. Since this is only just the eyebrow, it works good. I don't know about doing an entire like actual image. You'll have to essentially cut various body parts apart to independently animate certain things. So for this instance, we're independently animating the eyelash. So with this, I typically just made 3 points of contact, animated those 3 points of contact to come down, and reanimated to go back up. This first keyframe and this last keyframe are essentially the same the same 2 points. So the only real keyframes that are different are the first and the second one, and that's really all to it. You can do whatever you want with these. I mean, I can make another keyframe and drag this up, and then it just looks stupid. But you know, why would I want to do that, right? That just fucks it up, right? So that's not what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to make things, you know, move pretty smooth, and that's how this was really tackled. It's not. It is time consuming, animating everything bit by bit. But like I said, our goal here is to accomplish the depth, make these pop, make these things really stand out as much as we can, and overall just make things look a lot better. And I think After Effects accomplished that really well for me, because I'm trying to have way more control with the scenes that I'm trying to produce. Like, my mental image actually looks really on par for what I thought coming into this and how it actually came out. Like, the next thing that you're going to see actually really works out pretty well. So this is just another generated expanded background with both characters, both mom and dad. And again, to just throw context out with this particular scene, again, use strokes with the canyon to make it look, you know, with the embers, have some fire embers effects, the smoke. The AI pod, it's not the AI pod, the pod itself, I used Photoshop to generate a cracked glass or cracked image in the inner circle window part for the pod. So that's how I got that. I also put another, and again, I think AI is a tool. I won't solely depend on it creating everything for me, but I will use it in my workflow to make it easier for me. Again, I am the only person who writes these scripts and does a lot of the main editing. Flick helps out a lot for things that I'm just like, whew, I'm glad I don't have to do that. But as far as like directing, writing, editing, drawing, I do a lot of that heavy load. So if anything can make that work easier, hey, I'm gonna use the AI to generate a couple of things to make these stand out individually. So I added a little bit of debris to give sort of a impact feel to the pod, to make it seem like, of course, hey, it's landed and it's stuck in this goddamn ground. So that's the effect that I was going for with that. The backdrop to this is also different. Maybe you can see the trees. This outer rim, though, wasn't supposed to be here, so sometimes you may incorporate some images back into Adobe on top, and that's a lot of some of the effects that I did do. I think I don't know if I did it for this one, but and I know it's such a minor thing, and like this is why it's really tough for me to go back and watch old episodes, because I notice all the faults into the things that I do. So this is actually cut from the modded map of the lookout, and I use those trees to overlook in the background to then recreate this image to make it seem like there's a bunch of trees in the backdrop. But the trying to have this blend in Photoshop and added it to Premiere Pro, added this really weird glow on for the, I didn't want this, but it's not really like the worst thing in the world. So it is what it is. Another thing with the generated expand that I love so far is that I could really make these scenes the way I actually envisioned them. We all know this saying, if anyone who's ever, you know, tried to film in this spot particularly understands that this dirt pod has some weird terrain. It slopes up, it slopes down, and some of the characters, and there's not a lot of space. You think there's a lot of space, but there really isn't. There's a lot of debris there, and the characters don't stand properly. It's just an annoying spot to be in if you're trying to film things. However, again, capturing a screenshot, expanding that, makes this feels like there is a lot of more space. There is a lot of space to add stuff into. I didn't add a lot, but you can see that there's a lot more depth. And and this is a main example of the other tracking that I did for this scene. So I didn't keyframe any of these. I didn't keyframe the pod. I didn't keyframe the spark to the pod. I didn't keyframe them to stay in this one spot. I actually tracked this individually with one ground, and I'm gonna show you guys in After Effects what I mean. It sounds fucking stupid, but I just gotta show you real quick. Okay. So here's what I wanted to showcase probably the most is that I didn't keyframe a lot of the objects in this particular scene. Matter of fact, I don't think I keyframed anything. So the effect here, or the illusion here, is that I tracked a part of the ground, a bright kind of brownish, tannish spot in the ground. And so I tracked this, and I tracked it with the null layer. And so the cool thing about After Effects that I don't think you could do in Premiere Pro, or if you can, it's really complicated. And it's not worth learning that when it's just so easier to do it in After Effects, is that these null layers can be used to track certain areas. So for the spark here, it clearly just goes straight down. And again, you can do this in Premiere Pro. I mean, you can keyframe things, as accurate as you can manually, and it looks good, and that's fine. Hey, all to you. However, the only difference with this particular scene is that I am able to parent. Now, with parenting certain layers on top of certain nulls, this goes a long way, because now you're tracking all on one particular layer. I'll show you. So for this fire effect for mom and dad here, and for the pod itself, they're all tracked to this particular null, that's just null 1. And all null 1 is here to do is just to go up and go down. And so the parented tracks, which were the ones that I just listed off, are now associated to null 1. So when null 1 goes down, all of everything that's, a child to it will also go down. So I accomplished this illusion of everything going down with it, and I kind of fucked up at the beginning because the track animated this part where like nothing happens, and I'm like, dog, this is on full, so this isn't gonna render out as good as it should. But trying to get my point across. I fucked up really early here, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna cut it in Premiere, like it'll just look good, right? So then once the null starts moving, there's this illusion of everything moving a lot sooner than it, and it gives us this pretty good, and again, you can accomplish this in Premiere Pro, but it's a lot easier to just parent these particular objects to a fixed location, because the pod and mom and dad are in different locations, but since they're tracked on the null, they all are animated at the same time. So that really was pretty cool to do, and I don't think there's a limit to doing this. So your creativity could go crazy with just this one thing alone. I also have this other null, and it's just for the spark, but if I would, hey, I could take who is this? This is dad. We'll just take dad, put him on null 3. And you don't have to put it on null. You can put it on another thing, and it'll take its characteristics as well. So like I said, After Effects really gives you more control with individual things that I don't think Premiere Pro would either start to lag or render incorrectly. And I just think it's a little more intuitive in After Effects. So it was pretty cool doing this. And as you can see, Tad's now on fucking null 3 and animated to null 3. So when it goes down, and since it's animated longer, Dad's going to keep going down. So yeah, so that's how that goes. So that was pretty cool to get to accomplish in Premiere Pro. Looks really good in the final product. Moving forward, this is probably my favorite shot of the whole thing. Looks really good. I think I got the color blend to be really good, especially not even with the glow itself. I think this is a really good shot in my opinion. And then we go to here. So this is where like the more complicated shit gets. So this was the main reason why I wanted to use After Effects. I wanted to be able to animate or take animations and incorporate them on top of existing footage. I could do this in Premiere Pro, but After Effects, I felt as if it would be easier to track this in After Effects, and that was proven inconsistent. I'm going to give it another try. I need to get in the lab and continue doing that. But with this particular effect, let me show you guys how to. Maybe somebody's able to do this a lot fucking better than me. It was so annoying. But there are plugins, and for those who don't know what plugins are, my best example is that they're DLCs that to a video game that may or may not work. And that's what plugins are. You pay for them. They are you just added to the app that you're trying to use. I don't know if DaVinci is able to do this, but maybe it is. Hell, I don't use DaVinci, so maybe this can be accomplished in DaVinci at a more easier rate. But for right now, this shit was so goddamn annoying. Oh god, you guys are gonna be like, what the fuck? So let's get to the meat and potatoes. So with this particular frame, this was animated and it did track. But here we go. So here's a software by is it Boris? I don't know if it's Boris. I don't know. It's called Mocha. And with Mocha, you're able to create these meshes for characters, or I mean, if anyone wants to do actual film or cinematography. A lot of these meshes you can use in great detail or just in simple matters to make tracking more consistent. Now, with the tracking that I showed you, I find that more common for VFX or visual things or place tracking that I did in the earlier footage. For this particular tracking, I would see this more commonly used for tattoos, facial damages, special effects for people in general. And that was my main goal, was to add certain visual effects to people's faces or my own animation on top of it. And After Effects is actually, besides my pin pressure not fucking working, it's actually pretty good at allowing you to make like actual animation, like either frame by frame animation, or if you want to take animation in a different step, it's an actual like tool that is designed to do that than it is in Premiere Pro. So it gives you that flexibility of being able to do things on top of certain layers, and that's why I initially wanted to give this a try. With Mocha, however, it becomes this more trial and error approach, and this isn't even 100%. Typically, I'm gonna break it. I know I am. So it is about to be broken here in the next second. Typically with Mocha, what we would want to accomplish is, it's going to give me the stupid warning, but I'm going to show you the ordeal when it came to tracking this bit of information. So yes, Boris Effects is the company. This isn't free, by the way. This is actually something you have to pay for. After Effects comes with Boris, or at least Mocha, for you to edit, but however, there is a pro version, because of course, and then that's how you would use the more advanced tracking properties. But for this, I'm going to show you guys, I just did the bare minimum. I'm going to delete this to show you what kind of goes into it. So you would track this initially, because I want to track her eyes. Her eyes needs to be tracked, right? I just want this portion, and it makes this mesh. And you can be really detailed with this mesh. You can turn on the mesh layer. You can make it three-dimensional, so it's like, hey, these are 3D. Or you can add a perspective. Again, the Pro version gives you all these properties that the AE version just doesn't really come equipped with, but you have it. You can do the bare necessity. You would analyze this track, and then it starts to animate. But since my resolution isn't here's this fucking bullshit. Since the resolution to this isn't good, it's like I don't know what to track. So what I would have to do is go back, set this to full, wait for a moment, reopen Mocha, don't get the message, of course. Close this. Oh god, close that again. Close this out. Do this keyframe all over again. So yeah, fuck it, why not? And then do that. Then we analyze it, and then it starts to analyze and track the actual movement to said character that I want tracked. And after it is tracked, we save this information. I'm gonna pretend like I'm saving. Again, you could find tutorials on this. This isn't me going over because I don't know exactly how to do this 100%, but I'm showing you the workflow to how I barely got it to work. So after this information is tracked, you will have to then go back to Mocha, go to create track data, create the track data, and then have a certain frame applied to the track data. I named this, I don't even know what the fuck this word is, Reckles? I was tired. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was tired. So I named it Reckles. But Reckles is a pre-composed layer, which is very important. A pre-composed layer just means that it is a sequence. If you're used to Adobe Premiere Pro, then you know what I mean. A sequence is just another timeline with everything stored on that sequence. I will show it for people who don't know, like this. This particular part right here is a sequence. If I click on it, if I double click on it, it will show me the things inside the sequence. So this is a good way to narrow down your workflows and make things a little more consistent. Again, this part right here with the eyes, again, is another sequence of 2 things that I was just like, hey, I'm just gonna throw it over to make that easier. Sometimes it's a lot easier to work in a sequence or another layer to do certain animations or certain effects to then carry it over to your main timeline to then do it over that. So things just don't get confused. You can do multiple things without having to have them collide or interject. So that's what the pre-compose layer is. So I would pre-compose this, which is literally me painting over this. And again, being able to do that, I had to animate this, so I had to double click on the layer. Yeah, it's a lot of work. So I had to animate and double click on the layer to then I don't know why I went back to that. To then setting this particular layer. Okay, yeah. So I had to then set this particular layer to transparent, paint on transparent off, to make sure that when this is displayed on the top layer, it is gone. Like there's no face, because I had to use this as a reference. I had to actually use this screenshot as a reference to what I want animated for this. And this may mess up the actual vision, because I don't have like for example, if I go here and I look like over here, there's like Adobe doesn't have like the continuation of these lines in case there are certain areas of the face exposed. Because of course, you know, there's a whole ass other ear there, right? But it's, you know, the ear isn't going to be shown unless it's shown on frame. But I don't have the space to show all of that. So it's maybe good to have maybe borders when you do this, or maybe you don't want to do this. It's too fucking much work. But just to show you guys that this actually tracked and it actually worked. Same thing with the tail lights. It wasn't 100%, but it is believable. It is good enough. So I already messed it up. As you can see, I do not care, because it is supposed to be really good at tracking. It's supposed to be better tracking. It's supposed to be the best tracking. But if you fuck it up, it will be fucked forever. So that's what went into that particular animation. And a lot of this afterwards, I've already kind of went over. I'm pretty sure most people know how I got this shot, so it's not too complex. And with this, I used the rotoscope for these, so I didn't even have the mom and dad. I didn't have them on a green screen or anything. This is actually rotoscope. This is the exact positioning that they are in the canyon, and this is when I went back to Photoshop and considered this scene building. So this is actually, I want to show you guys the example. Oh, here it is, right here. So yeah, so this is this particular part here that you see. and I took this into Photoshop, removed this background, cleaned up the background, added it back in with the pod. The pod's on its own individual thing, and I took this and edited in After Effects, and I rendered that out to add it back into Premiere Pro. And so doing that, you really get, like I said, the more control you have as a director or an editor, the more, freedom or hey, get off a Monster Hunter, god damn it, the more unique your scenes are going to be. And I think that's the thing that I was aiming for, and I loved how this came out. This came out beautiful. And so a lot of this is, again, nothing too self-explanatory, a couple of shots that I just did just for the sake of doing it again. And that's how we closed out the video. So this is that workflow. This took maybe 2 weeks because I'm learning After Effects right now. I won't depend on all of everything that I did for this to be in, every single scene. Flick's already like, you're doing too much, you're gonna have all the characters blink. I'm like, nah, just at certain times. It's like, okay, buddy. So that's my workflow. That's what really goes into this. And this again is for like 2 minutes of a teaser. He's like, Flick again is like, oh, you're not even gonna use this. I'm using this footage. I'm not about to go back and do all this over again. So that's my log for this. If you guys find, hold on, whole ass pencil. If you guys find this particular video informative or interesting, I'm willing to do more of them, maybe per episode, just to give you guys an idea of my entire workflow. Probably not going in depth with everything, but just general, like, oh man, that's pretty cool, how'd you do that? So I may do this depending on how you guys like this video. Just let me know any questions or comments you guys have about this. Leave them in the comments below. I don't really have much more to kind of go over. Jesus Christ, I got the hiccups, bro. So yeah, I don't have much more to go over. Hopefully I got more information coming soon. Hopefully I get this casting call up, get these freaking 3 episodes out of the way, because goddamn, those scripts keep building up and I keep losing time. But that's all. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for updates regarding the release of episode technically 6, but hey, it's either episode 6 to you guys, or however you want to call it, season 2, episode 1. Hey, the next episode. So, catch you guys later. Thank you for watching, and peace. That shit was long.